He's breaking it down, how the buy side spins, dollars around. Garrett steps up with that data finesse, selling it right, no room for a guess. The mics are hot, the beats hit hard, fans throw their hands high in the yard. Deals and impressions like a verbal sprint, breaking it down with an ad tech tint. Ad tech, ad talk, it's a live Q&A. Buy side, sell side, clearing the way. CEO spitting truth, no delay. Chalice and Gemera owning the day. Programmatic flows in the scene real tight. RTB dreams lighten up the night. Adam says pivot, Garrett says scale. Together they weave one flawless tale. Ad tech, ad talk, it's a live Q&A. Buy side, sell side, clearing the way. CEO spitting truth, no delay. Chalice and Gemera owning the day.
In the ad tech justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups, the buy side and the sell side. These are their stories. And here's Adam and Garrett.
All right. Thank you, David Meldo from Let's Do Video, our producer, the best. And hello, Gareth. Hello, world. People in the chat. We got Mumbai, Dublin, and San Diego here today listening to us. We are excited to host you for Ad Tech, Ad Talk another week. A huge amount of news this week, so no questions in queue. I want to start with the layoffs at Business Insider. Man, it's a crazy thing that whenever the business press has to report on programmatic, they seem to know nothing about programmatic advertising. None of our industry publications have programmatic advertising on their site. So even though the reporters work for news sites and should be intimately familiar with the problems of monetization of news sites, they seem to know nothing about it. So all the reporting on Business Insider had nothing about how this company used to have a great programmatic sales department. They were the first to do really detailed PMPs. It was early curation. They were one of my favorite places to shop for PMPs when I was agency side head of programmatic. And something happened, like all those people no longer work there. The company got in big trouble. They're trying some kind of subscription model. It didn't work. And nowhere in the coverage is there any mention that this company used to have a great programmatic ad sales and they seem to be in trouble because they abandoned it. So what happened, Gareth? What do you know about this?
All right. So about a dozen things happened. But all of them were like the Titanic moving into an iceberg. None of these things were a surprise, everyone. None of these things.
What happened?
Well, the actual article said that traffic was down. And that was that was what they blamed this on. And I can't think of something that is more, I don't want to use the word despicable, but it is a pretty awful thing for management to say that traffic is down, so we had to lay people off, because every single article about organic traffic for the past 5 years has said it's going away. Like, everyone's seen it. Everybody knows. And I was like, do you know the Little Things story?
Mm-mm.
Oh, the Little Things story.
What's Little Things?
So Little Things was a website. And Little Things was started by, I think his name's Eric Spieser. Very smart guy.
Okay.
Came from the affiliate world. Came from the performance marketing world. And what he did is he cracked the Facebook organic video algorithm. He cracked it. And like full on, he understood how to get Facebook to send people to his website. And so they scaled the business like crazy. Hundreds of employees. They had their own video production studio that they were paying for. And they're cranking out videos, right? They're going horizontal. They're doing all these things. He decides it is time for him to reap the fruits of his labor, goes to
Hmm.
sell the company. He wrote a whole thing about this, by the way. No, this is a secret.
Hmm.
Um, Goes to sell the company, has a, and for anyone who's like never not familiar with the M&A process, right? The M&A process starts out with an LOI, which is a letter of intent, moves to the purchase
Just
agreement,
to speed
which
it.
is
It's like
lawyers.
pregnancy. It's
It's
like
like
pregnancy.
pregnancy, right? It
Takes
takes
a
a
long time.
long time. And
Yeah.
so, but he's in his third trimester, right?
Yeah.
He's about to sell his company for 9 figures, which is the life-changing event for any human.
Nine.
It's a wild
100 million.
number. And 100 million plus, it was a crazy,
Yeah.
amazing number. And Facebook changed their algorithm like two
In the third
months
trimester.
in the
Yeah.
third trimester.
He's like
Like
going into
they had the
labor.
close date, they had the delivery date, and Facebook algorithm was like, "Yeah, we're not going to do this anymore." And it just went to zero, like zero. And this is not the first time this has happened, right? This happened to Demand Media. This happened to a
Why
publicly
am I
traded
laughing?
company. I mean,
Oh, that's funny.
well, it's because, and the point of me telling this story is that any company that is in publishing that is reliant on organic traffic in any way and then blames organic traffic going down for layoffs or their business being insolvent in some way, they have no one to blame but themselves. No one to blame but themselves. And you shouted
Right.
out Jana, right? I know someone else who was there, is not there anymore, Chow. I have talked to them about my products, right? Like, and
Yeah.
when they're at other jobs, and my products are LTV for publishers. Publishers should be owning traffic acquisition. They should be owning relationships with users because
Readers. Yeah.
readers, they're
Yeah.
clients, right? And
Yeah.
it's one of those things where they used to do this. New York
Yeah.
Times in the 90s, before the internet was there, had to go get more New York Times readers. And they were
Yep.
marketers, man. They were like, how do I get people to subscribe to the New York Times? Once I get someone to subscribe, now they're going to be subscribed for this long. They're going to make me this much money. They had the math. And
Yep.
then the internet came around and Google just sent people free traffic for a rain dance.
Yep.
And everyone got addicted to that, right? That
Yep.
was nice. Like, wait, I don't have to worry about this anymore. I don't have to market my company. All I have to do is
Yeah.
write stuff and then number go up. Great. Let's do
Listicle,
that.
a list, top 10,
Uh,
quiz.
it's like everything was downstream of
You
this.
would not
And
believe what happened.
oh my gosh. Well, and so here's the thing, right? I have trouble. I have sympathy for the people who are losing their jobs because the people at the top have the tools, right? The tools exist. Saying we don't know how to do this is not an
But Business
answer.
Insider had it. They were like, all right, these people who either they already subscribe to Wall Street Journal or they can't afford Wall Street Journal, but they want to follow business stories. They're in business. Business affects their lives. They care. So we're just going to have an interesting business story from inside of the world of business every day. It's a very simple model, and they executed it very well. Like there's infinite business stories, right? The Wall Street Journal cannot cover all the businesses.
Yeah, but your unit economics are a hard thing to transition over, right? If you've written your content that's beautiful and Google sends you people for free, and then all of a sudden you want to start charging people, it's just a totally different business. Like because
Right.
people don't like paying for things, and
Yeah.
the number
But
of people
why?
who have
What
yeah.
was wrong with the ad-supported business? Like the word in the marketplace is ad-supported businesses are suffering because traffic is down.
Mhm.
So are ad-supported businesses that are not reliant on Facebook and clickbait, is their traffic down? I don't. You don't hear News Corp. You know,
Well, there is a model that is rarely used, but some people have it, where they have an ad-supported business, but they understand the value of their users really well, which means they
yeah,
can go out and market themselves as a normal company does. And they can say, "Oh, if I get someone in here and they read a sports story, I think I'm going to make this much money from my ads and from a potential subscription, right? Which I ascribe an a priori probability to. Like, sports reader came in, 15%, I can get him to subscribe if I ask real nice.
yeah,
But if you know that number, right, you have a business because now it's like, okay, well, this is how much money I make from my sports readers. I need to go out and get more sports readers. I need to write more sports content. But
yep,
people didn't have to do that, right? When they were running the ad supported business, that math wasn't happening. The ad supported business was we write content, we hope that Google sends us traffic. And I know in BI's case, I know they were super reliant on AMP. Any company that's super reliant on AMP tells me they're doing rain dances for traffic.
All right,
Because
tell people what AMP is.
AMP is this is such a good monopolist one too. AMP is
It's,
accelerated mobile pages.
this is not gonna give you my
This is
impression of
the
AMP.
right
AMP is like if I'm a publisher and I do not have anyone in house who could code my pages so that they're readable on a phone. Google will come in and help me, but they won't code my pages. They'll just take my content,
Don't do my
right, and code
publishers
it
like that,
themselves
Adam.
on a Google page where only Google could sell ads,
Don't do my
right?
publishers like that. Publishers had
That's
engineers. No, 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 no. It was way nastier than that. It was
all right.
Google went to publishers who already had web pages and said, your web pages are slow and they're bad for the internet. And there are people go through searches and they don't like them. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip everything out of them and we're going to build an ad stack that where only ours works. So you have to
Right.
use ours. Everything runs through GAN.
Right.
And there's no JavaScript
Accelerate
at
it.
all. Like we're gonna kill JavaScript on these pages. It's not gonna work. So all these tools that you have, all this stuff that you do, no, there's none of that.
Measurement. Your ability
What
to find out what's happening on your pages, we're gonna get rid of that. It's
everything.
slow.
We're axing all of it. But we're gonna send our search results
Yeah.
to our page.
That's where the search results will go. Yeah.
That's where they're gonna go. The organic traffic is gonna go to AMP. And yeah, it was Google's first try at killing the internet. Like people didn't talk about it. I will say in Reddit's defense, there's a Reddit bot that every time someone posts an AMP link, Reddit goes, "This is bad for the internet. Don't click this."
I love Reddit.
I mean, it's I appreciate that they do that. But yeah, man, if any publisher who tells me I have tons and tons of AMP traffic, I'm like, oh, okay. So do you have the timer for when your business is going to evaporate set? Because it's going to happen.
Well, I just got to bring in the buy side perspective.
Please.
There's one area of advertising where there's more demand than supply. There's only one type of advertiser who's like, I want to show more ads than I could find places, and that is B2B advertisers. And I'm sure that is the theory behind Business Insider. It's like if I could just get readers to a business publication, then I could go out to the vast supply of B2B advertisers. And there's tons. If you look around your office, every single thing was sold by a company that specializes in that thing to businesses, right? It's unending. Staplers and copiers and every type of software and machinery for laptops. It's and accounting stuff. It's so many businesses and so much advertising. And they need to reach business people, not regular consumers. So they need business publishers. It should be the easiest way to make money from advertising. And it sounds like somewhere Business Insider somehow dropped the ball on this, even though they had it going in a great, just had good tracking of their customers, good contacts with B2B advertisers, really good packages to sell them, curated pages and content-based packages. And somehow they said, no, we're just going to get subscribers. Is that what happened? They said, we're just going to get subscribers and they're not going to do real-time ads anymore. Is that why our friends don't work there anymore? Maybe one of them will write in, or even John, if you call me, I'll put your voice right on here. I don't know if you could talk about it, but I'm turning on my ringer.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting choice, right? Like publishers were kind of told some of you have to pivot to subscriptions. People looked at the New York Times and went, oh, the New York Times did this. Like I could do this. And the answer is generally no, you can't.
Yeah.
Have a free ad supported model where you push people on email. I'm always talking about Beehive because Beehive drives me crazy and I watch people grow these businesses on Beehive. And I'm like, that's the publishing model. It's the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
you're just,
I know they could do it for it. Substack and Beehive can do it for it. Like they're not the web or something. It's like that's just a web page that knows how to run a business, and like you're just making
it's a
content
web
for them.
page with good business fundamentals. It really is. They built
Yeah.
the business model into it for them to make it simple. Oh God, that's what a revelation that is. Like the
Substack
innovation
is just
in Beehive and Substack. Yeah.
the brilliant idea of Substack is we're going to have a website, but instead of getting traffic from Google, we'll email people.
And we'll teach
Hey,
people
there's a
how to
new
get
article.
more email
There's a
subscribers.
new article.
You know,
Yeah.
Facebook rolled out an ad format for this. You can actually go on Facebook and say, I want to run a campaign to get more email subscribers. And you can do it for like $1 or $2 a subscriber if you're really good, and three
Oh
to
yeah.
$10 if you're not good.
Let's try it. Let's try it for Tech Ad Talk.
Oh, do I look like I'm made out of money, Adam?
$1 each. Come on. You can do it. All right, let's get this question. I
Oh,
hope
we got
it's
a cue?
side.
Oh, I can't see it. There we go. Blue
Oh, Blue
Hawk.
Hawk again.
You don't need to redeem yourself, Blue Hawk. You were great. You really don't.
Maldo, you got to read it for our audio
Sure.
friends.
All right, it's a question for Blue Hawk. Trying to redeem myself from last week. Beyond CTV, which emerging channels, in-game advertising, audio, DOH, hold the most promise for sustained growth and innovation in the future? Doesn't quite all make it there.
In-game, audio, direct out of home. All right, got
I'm
it.
throwing this to you, Adam.
Look, I think that there's something in the question that I have to sorry, Blue Hawk, I have to take
Be
issue with.
nice
It's
to
like
Blue Hawk.
I love Blue Hawk. It's Blue Hawk's like probably a friend of mine. So the like those are all useful for different advertisers. I think there's a tendency that's like Google bred is to think of the digital advertising market as a monolithic thing. And from working in it for 20 or 30 years or whatever, like all I've realized, all I'm learning is like there's always another pocket that you never knew anything about. Like it's so vast. Like it's not one pizza of money. It's tons of pizzas and calzones and strombolis and like you think you're getting all the slices and then there's all these other pieces and slices. There's garlic knots. Like it's there's really a lot. So those formats that you named, out of home, audio, and in-game, like those are all $1 billion industries, right? Probably already, and they'll probably all be 10 billion. But advertising is like a trillion. So, I don't know if it's reasonable to expect any of those to get big because they have limitations. They all have limitations. In-game advertising only reaches gamers. That's an issue. Out-of-home advertising has, an addressability issue. Like, you're really blasting your message out and you're never going to get much of the precision that you get with other kinds of online advertising. And audio is just, it's just limited by audience. Like it's, people, it's very, very fragmented. Even radio in its day was very fragmented and local. And now audio is 10x as fragmented as old radio, the old radio shows that inspired us here.
I have a question on the back of your question when thinking about this one. I see performance CTV bandied about, and I know how it works. It's IP address attribution.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like that simple.
It's very simple. This TV saw the ad and this household purchased the item.
Oh, not even this TV. It's not the device item. It's the IP.
This IP address.
Jesus.
Some device in this household.
Some device in this household or in this series of households that have been assigned this IP.
Yeah. And there's only one or two companies that do that matching. So they're everyone is doing that is relying on the same couple of companies.
Totally. So, question. When you're thinking about this and you're a marketer, right? And you have all of these channels you just described, you're in the wonderful Brooklyn Italian restaurant where they're throwing carbohydrates at you. How do you like measure anything and so that you're not burning money? Like is media mix modeling the only way we do this? Is this like just the reality we live in?
There's a proven system. You give credit to TV.
It's linear.
That's where you spent the money. That ad was freaking expensive. No, it's tough. There's always some faith involved, and if you're, this is one way to look at it. It's only a problem if you're humongous and spending tons of money in tons of channels. And when you are spending tons of money in tons of channels, media mix modeling is actually pretty good, right? The problem with media mix modeling is that the math doesn't work unless you have tons of money and tons of channels and a lot of variation, right? Like I briefly in my agency world worked for Geico. Geico is so massive, so much TV, so much audio, so much outdoor. And I think their mix modeling was accurate. Like that, it's 15 minutes or more could save you $15. I can't even, I guess I haven't heard it enough. 15
Maybe they need
minutes
to
could
fix
save
their
you
models.
$500 or more. At one point, they were like, everyone knows that message, and maybe we should have a different message. And they started rolling out more creative that didn't have that message. But anyway, uh, I think marketers can be a little immature about it sometimes. Like attribution, like you get addicted to attribution. Like attribution is like candy or crack. I once worked with a great CMO who used to tell his team that their attributed CPAs were like crack and they were all on the pipe and needed to get off the pipe. And it was like it's really a pretty good metaphor, right? Because it's like gives you like a dopamine fire when your CPA goes down.
Oh,
And that
totally.
dopamine fire becomes what you're chasing more than actually growing the business, right? And when someone tells you that that CPA going down isn't really growing the business, like these aren't incremental or the attribution is faulty, like people don't want to hear it. Just like telling a crack addict you should really put down the pipe and get yourself into rehab. So that, so I've seen that happen. But before attribution, there was only media mix modeling and other things, and people marketed, people spent money and grew brands, and there's some amount of data and some amount of faith, but now we have way more tools to find out what's working, and you know the scientific method is available to everyone. It's open source.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like also attribution breaks when you're big, but when you're little, it's like kind of great. Because the
Yeah,
likelihood that you're like driving non-incremental attributed conversions at small scale just strikes me as unlikely.
yeah,
Like if
yeah,
you're a little
exactly.
brand that no one's heard of, the likelihood that those people would have bought from you and and but they clicked your ad and then bought, and like I just
Yeah,
it doesn't strike me. And
yeah,
there's got to be, I feel like there should be a handbook for this. Like, hey, you're a marketer, pick a channel. At this level of spend, you're gonna have to diversify your channel, or your CPA like goes down. Your CPA starts to creep up to the point where it's not profitable. Now you need channel number two. And when you do channel number two, here's the like gotchas, like because they're gonna
yeah.
be there. Um,
There is like this playbook exists for DTC brands, right? Starting with, I mean, Warby Parker, the first one to really blow up, but there's a bunch of others that were around that time, and a zillion others coming after them in DTC, and they have a playbook and a handbook, and I have questions about
I was gonna say, I don't know. I've talked to a few of those guys, and they don't seem to understand these concepts
it.
particularly well. Like they don't.
Yeah,
Like, it's not something that's in their DNA to be like, oh, this is non-incremental. Um, Especially because
yeah,
they love jumping to affiliate, because affiliate sounds so appealing. So for people who are listening, affiliate
mm,
means that you compensate someone for driving a sale for you through an affiliate link, generally,
yeah,
where you give someone a link, they get someone to click it and buy your thing, and now that person, gets some sort of compensation for it. It's appealing because it's risk-free, right? You're not paying media up front.
there's a risk.
Oh, well, the
What if that
risk-free.
coupon is handed out to someone online at the cash register?
100%. It is and that is the risk is not on the media cost, right? It's risk free in that you're not risking dollars up front, and you don't know if you're going to get conversions or not. You know you're going to get conversions, but they might not be incremental because affiliates are really good at that. How do I sit in
I feel like
front of the
I've
cash
picked on
register?
the DTC growth marketer in past episodes, so I'll let them go this time. But I do like to ask them, like, are you going to give away your lead list to Meta forever? Or at some point in your growth, do you pull that tag off the page?
It has really become
Mm,
insane. I do want to just throw this out there in case someone's listening who hasn't heard this before.
mm,
Chat, we've talked about this before.
mm.
Click on an ad from Meta and then log back into Facebook if you have Facebook, or log back into Instagram and look at the ads you get from their competitors, and you get them
Yeah,
immediately. Like
yeah.
it's like all of
It's
their
so
competitors
fast.
had a retargeting pixel on their landing page. It's
Yeah.
crazy, which
And pick
is
something you're definitely not in market for. Like pick something like plantar fasciitis,
oh
which there's a ton of ads for. Like pick
yeah.
some condition that you don't have so that you could know that it's only because of this one click that you're getting a barrage of ads for solutions to this problem.
And it's crazy. And it's
You'll meet
because
people who'll be like, "Hey, I heard you had plantar fasciitis. I saw it on your Instagram." Like, it gets out so far.
yeah, man, it's wild. Like,
It's a pain in the
but once
face.
you establish someone as being in market, like now everybody gets it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's high risk. I think we just have to make programmatic work a little better, and we're gonna steal a bunch of those dollars because we're not gonna do that.
Yeah. That's the dream. All right, Naldo. What do we
All
got?
right, we're ready for our next question. This
Yeah.
question is from Programmatic 101. Why don't SSPs band together to create their own DSP, where DSP level ad serving costs are passed along to the publisher?
Oh, I could wax poetic on this one.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna
Okay.
get the last part.
All right.
The
So,
DSP ad serving costs are passed to the publisher. The buy side ad serving cost goes to the publisher. Why?
I mean, we'll get to
Just
that.
so it's free to the advertiser, I guess. All right, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. Advertisers don't want to change DSPs. They just don't want to do it. It is a monumental lift to get an agency to change DSPs. It is like basically asking them to move their headquarters and all of their staff to a new city. It is just something that
Billing. It's custom billing.
yeah, it has been done. Don't get me wrong, but I think most of those things happened like 5 to 10 years ago, and since then they're just like, no, 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 we have our DSPs. So that's the first part, right? That's why don't publishers build a DSP? It's because they wouldn't be able to get anyone to use it, and like they could get small brands, small performance advertisers, small agencies, but building a DSP from a business perspective is monumentally difficult. Two is from a cost perspective, from an infrastructure perspective, there's actually a decent amount of upfront cost in building a DSP because DSPs have to listen and there is expense in listening. And don't get me wrong.
Decide really fast.
Oh, and if I were building a DSP, I would outsource that to you. But but this is just to say that there are startup costs and publishers. One thing they're not awash with is money. As someone who sells things to publishers, I know publishers are not awash with money. And two is they would have all this cost up front. And the question is, would people even use it? And the answer is probably no. And I think that's why in the curation playbook, the SSPs knew this. SSPs, because Index could build a DSP. Rubicon bought Chango. Rubicon bought a DSP. Like they know what is feasible and what's not. And then I gave a little spiel about this, a little presentation. They came to the realization, wait, if we can just move functionality out of the DSP, right? That we can use to capture mind share and to capture budgets into our SSP. But the idea that like Index or Magnite could build a DSP and then meaningfully move agencies to it, like across the board, is a really heavy lift. Like it's just a really hard thing. And Magnite's trying. Don't get me wrong; they have clear line. Like it's like
Let me try another way into it. You're welcome. I mean, thank you. There is a meta SSP. Like in a way, all the publishers and SSPs in the world have banded together into a single unit called prebid.org, right? It's a way for all of them to send all their bid requests, right, through a common standard, right? Right, Gareth?
mm-hmm. It's spectacular.
It's spectacular. And so all you really need is a bidding functionality within prebid.org, right?
Mm-hmm. Prebid could build a bidder, and they could build it in a prebid server, and it could work everywhere. It'd be really easy to do.
Easy?
I mean,
What do you mean build it into prebid server? That means it would live in what servers? The server cost is the problem with DSPs.
Totally. So you're still going to have that upfront cost. That's always going to be there. The listening cost, right? And the decisioning cost, like all that stuff, that's still going to be there. But from an integrations perspective, it would be easy because the standard is now there. When DSPs first came into existence, OpenRTB didn't exist. So like integrating Invite Media, which was an early DSP, but has now become DV360 through a series of like horrible science fiction transformations and injections, and it's crazy.
At one point, it had a fly head. I remember.
Yeah, it's right.
It's grotesque.
It was. It's not grotesque now. But integrating Invite Media with like AdMeld or like another early exchange, Rubicon, was a manual, unique process where Rubicon was like, here's how we describe this information. And Invite Media was like, okay, great. Here's how we describe it. How do
Yeah.
we like map these two things
And then they're
together?
like, here's our API spec, and here's ours, and we have to make them speak to each other in 5 milliseconds. And
It
yeah,
was
it
crazy.
must have been
It,
horrible.
it was,
Probably have to co-locate. Yeah.
I mean, like, well, the speed requirements weren't what they were, but yes, co-location became a thing where it's like, okay, what data center do you use? It's like, okay, we're gonna stand up an instance of our servers there. Like, it's the whole thing's a mess, and now it's so easy because if you were to integrate a bidder with Prebid server, I'm pretty sure Patrick and Brett have done the work to build a generic OpenRTB adapter for Prebid. Which means that Prebid will fire out generic OpenRTB bid requests if we want it to. You now have like a lingua franca. So when you're building a bidder, you'll get OpenRTB bid requests in the same format directly from every publisher's monetization stack. That is crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's sad that the DSP market's not competitive because the access to inventory has basically been completely democratized. And
Yep.
that would be a great time for the DSP market to be competitive. But there are reasons why not, and I'm writing an article about it. It's depressing.
Okay, we'll cover that. I have a name for pre-bids DSP.
Ooh,
Ready?
I'm so
Post-bid.
ready. What is it?
Post-bid.
Oh, Adam, somebody took it.
There's something called post-bid? Shit.
Within pre-bid, there's something called post-bid.
No,
So, yeah, oh, here's a real gross one for you. The audience, something none of you are interested in, but this is a factoid. And in case anyone ever says this to you,
Wait,
post-bid,
let's just shout out our lurker audience.
please.
Just because we have no questions doesn't mean there aren't people in the chat on the show. We wanted to take a minute to say we appreciate you. We know you're there. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat. Just give a comment or say hi. But if you don't, that's fine. We appreciate you listening. And those of you listening to this on recording, please try to make it live. I understand you might be in Mumbai where it's the middle of the night, or Sydney where it's quite late, but please make it if you can sometime and ask us a question. But thank you. Thank you for listening.
We love to talk to you. We really do appreciate everyone who tunes in. It means a lot to us. Like, it warms my heart every day when I have new questions. And like,
Totally.
I don't feel like people disagree with us enough. I want like more angry people in chat. So
But people don't realize that they could ask you. So let me ask you, what is the least scrupulous sell side company? They don't realize
I
that
think
it's
a
all wide
human has
open.
to. You know what? I think a chat person has to ask that one for me to
You
go
want to
down
take
that
it?
road.
All right.
I won't take it unless it's from chat. I'll take it from chat. Oh, I'll tell all my dirty stories. There are many of them.
Well, not, you could get sued for defamation now. By the way, I read another complaint. We have to cover that. But I wanted
Ooh.
to. Do you remember what you were saying when I interrupted you to talk about our
Yeah, I was
chat
just saying. I was
audience?
going to say what postbid is. So all you people on the buy
Oh, yeah.
side, what people will do is they'll package up an entire instance of Prebid.js. So it might as well be an entire website. Throw it into an ad tag, and then serve that as a creative. And so what that creative does is it loads a whole separate auction inside of the creative, and that's what postbid is.
What? So what happens?
The creative loads as an ad,
Yeah.
and then that ad holds a pre-bid auction and calls bidders. And so it triggers a secondary auction inside of the auction. And now wait, where this is
What
applicable for
serves?
all of
An
you.
ad within the ad?
An
Is
ad
this
within
like
the ad.
picture in picture?
Mm-hmm.
What the
Well,
fuck
you know,
is
you make the
why? Why?
So this is a method
It
used
must be an
by
in-game thing.
no, oh, you with the gamers. They're a great audience. They buy lots of
Yeah.
Red Bull and food.
Yeah.
So this is actually a really powerful tool for resellers. And I'll tell you why. Let's say New York Times, I can get my little thing into New York Times and I can get some ads.txt entries in there because I convinced them that I'm a meta exchange and I do some sort of thing. If I can get New York Times to do that, I can now set a refresh rate for my picture-in-picture auctions that's faster than the New York Times' refresh rate. So I can buy one ad slot on the New York
course.
Times and I can transform
This
it
is shenanigans. This
into
is just
5
shenanigans.
of them.
Why did Postbid make a shenanigans machine?
It is
Why did
a
pre-bid?
oh, I mean, I've seen people by accident serve a post bid tag to backfill when ads didn't fill and
Oh, that's
accidentally
a real reason.
serve,
That's a real reason.
except there's a problem here. If you do that and you don't put a cap on how many times it can backfill,
God.
which I've seen someone do, a very
Yeah,
large company.
yeah. I think Christoph showed me this once.
And it was totally innocent. And they called me up the next day and went, Gareth, we're making so much money. And I was like, yeah, I know you're sending me 400 million ad requests a day. I'm not sure what's going on. Like that would make you one of the largest publishers on the internet. And this is what they were doing. And I was like, oh, this is fraud.
Delightful.
That's what this
Delightful.
is. Yeah, this is not good. 2 questions. Let's go.
All right, first question is from Bluehawk again. Bluehawk wants to know the impact of AI on ad tech business models may lead to a wave of more acquisitions by private equity firms, like Ad Theorent. Will this trend continue, and how will it reshape the ad tech landscape?
It's a question for the prophet.
Mm-hmm. I gotta take
But
profit.
I think we set up
I
for the
also
profit today.
have an opinion on this one. I don't know of many PE exits that have gone great. Do you, Adam? Like, do you know
ad
of
tech,
any?
ad tech has had some of the worst PE
They're
exits
bad PE exits. They go
in
poorly. I don't know
history.
of any happy PE firms who were like, oh yeah,
Let's
I'm real
list some of
glad
the
we bought this.
disasters. Media Math comes up first as a tremendously ill-fated PE investment. Wasn't even an acquisition. I don't, do you want to name one?
Paying almost $2 billion for Triple Lift.
Yeah, I
That
was
was a
going to say
choice.
that one. I
That was a
have friends
choice.
there. I could just say that, like, my
I like them
friends
too.
there, yeah, I like the company. I love the founders, but I would say Triple Lift people seemed happier before that company was owned by private equity, and I don't know why. That's just an observation.
Well, and how do you? Yeah, it's just an observation.
It's just an observation.
But
So
I'm,
PE loves cash. So PE and ad tech is a weird combination anyway, because ad tech is not a cash-rich business. Our payments are really slow, and the cash goes to the publisher. So PE is usually much more interested in publishers, which is where the money lands, than the
well,
ad tech companies. Yeah,
unless you do shenanigans, right?
unless
Like if you're an ad
siphoning
tech
money out,
middleman, you can look like you're
or
really
siphoning money
cash
out.
rich. Like really cash rich. You take non-transparent
Yeah.
margins, you pay slower than you get paid, and you have massive amounts, you have amazing looking profit margins, and you have massive amounts of cash on your books. The
But
neglected
even
thing,
then,
yeah. Oh, go
PE
ahead.
bought Blackstone, and Blackstone bought a bunch of ad tech companies that were supposed to be rolled up into something magnificent, and it didn't happen. That's another one.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that people who aren't in ad tech are really bad at evaluating ad tech. That's like the fundamental core thesis here. Because even
Yeah,
ad
those of
tech
us who are
people
in
are
ad
bad at it.
tech are bad at it. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
even
go.
ad tech. I remember when Rubicon
Jinx.
bought Telaria and like the public markets had valued Telaria at something, right? And the public
Yeah,
markets had valued them based on their revenue, which when you look under the hood was from arbitraged outstream video inventory, 85% of the revenue. So like the multiple that they were trading at publicly was just
yeah.
off. Like, because everyone knows that's a business that could evaporate, but well, not everyone. Ad tech people know, hey,
Mm.
that's inventory coming from 4 sources. It's accounting for a meaningful percentage of revenue, and it could pop. Like, because
Yeah.
there aren't a lot of other businesses. I think, well, maybe there are. I don't know.
That scares PE guys. That's not what
Well,
PE guys are looking for.
no, they're not looking for things that can pop, right? They don't want things that can pop. They want things that will slowly go through attrition and shrink over time so that they can milk everything
Well,
out of it.
the thing they really want to do is switch the management and make it more efficient and profitable. And
Yeah.
in ad tech, if you fire the founder management, you're probably in a lot of trouble. You're probably firing, if the founder goes and the people the founder hired goes, like it's probably not operable at all. Although I guess we'll see with some of the ones they've acquired.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Apollo bought Yahoo, and that's a good one, but it's a
Mhm.
pub. But that was a good buy. That was smart. They were
Yeah, that's a
like,
very
all right.
low bar. It's hard to do worse than the people who were running Yahoo.
It was a great value buy. I give them credit for that one. Yahoo oopsied real bad. They got it real cheap, and it's probably a gem of an asset. One more question.
Yeah, yeah. Let's take it.
All right. This question is it's over two comments from Paul. The first part he says, why does the industry not focus more on increasing yield that focus more on the ad placements themselves in UX? Industry sunsetting of small, low-res legacy sizes like 300 by 50, 728 by 90. And the next comment he follows up by saying, larger high-res sizes for desktop to monetize unused white space.
That's a sell side question.
All right, perfect. So when it comes to 300 by 50s, those are traditionally mobile ads. So you'll still see those on mobile. You'll see them as mobile stickies. And as a mobile sticky ad, I think it's actually quite effective. Because you don't want your mobile sticky to be too big. If it is, you get accidental clicks like crazy. A 300 by 50 or a 320 by 50 is pretty good at doing that. Now, people realized that in programmatic inefficiency, we invented this thing called multi-size. And multi-size means that you can auction an ad slot and auction all of the sizes smaller than the maximum size of the ad slot. So what you see is buyers who are buying mobile go, oh, 300 by 50s are great. This CTR is like 5%. This is amazing because they're buying mobile stickies. And so they start buying more 300 by 50s. And then those 300 by 50s show up in the right rail in a 300 by 250 slot because that mobile bid is going in there. And don't get me wrong, this is a yield maximizing activity for a publisher, but it is a bad user experience.
What does that look like? A mobile ad on a desktop site. What does it look like?
Looks like a bunch of blank space. It looks like there's
Not
supposed to be
good.
something there that's not there.
I don't know if you get the question, like why isn't there more diversity of ad sizes and different ways to fill ad slots, and why don't publishers increase yield by innovating on this in this area?
Well, and so I think the second part of the question is why don't people fill white space? Why don't people run these big, beautiful ads? It's simply because the way that programmatic has evolved to get fill for those big, beautiful ads, you need to direct sell them. And the number of publishers who are capable of direct selling them and talking that way is small.
But hasn't the IAB tried to standardize all these odd sizes and like just nobody uses them, right?
Well, it's have to be direct sold, right? You can create sizes. You can create like do you remember Rising Star units? Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, Rising Star units were a thing. Fancy, beautiful ads. No one buys them. And the answer is publishers don't do it because there's no one to sell it to buyers. And by the way, there are some very successful.
Oh, you mean the advertisers have to make the creative, is what you're saying?
Oh my gosh! Wow, it's exactly.
Now I get it.
And I mean,
there should be solved. That should be solved now.
Well, AI maybe will solve it. But there are some wildly successful companies. I always look at Pad Squad. So Pad Squad builds custom creatives, and they're great direct sellers. They operate at 80% margins because they're such good direct sellers, and like that
Where
works.
are they at? What's their Crunchbase heat score today?
I don't know what Pad Squad's doing. They might have gotten sold. They might have sold that off, but it grew like crazy. They're a curator now. They're great. But it's one of those things where
they changed their name.
They might have changed their name. But if you're a good direct seller to advertisers, right? Guess where you don't work? At a publisher. You typically band out on your own, do something like this where it's like, oh,
those creative companies, Triple Lift and Cargo, made a lot of money. Like saying you don't have to make the creative, like either our technology will transform it or we'll build it for you, and you could have special ad units. But it's limited scale. Like you have to have a creative team or technology that until recently has been not that great at rendering ads in different shapes and sizes.
Yeah. And it's the buy side problem. Sell side would do it.
All right. Let's think about it. We'll have to come back to that.
We got another
All right,
one.
Maldo, what's the next one?
All right, this next one.
What's the least scrupulous?
More of a
No, don't you dare. Someone's going to get me in trouble.
I get you sued.
This one's more of a comment than a question, but I do want to see your take on it. Oh, hold on, let me switch it.
Oh, this is the same one.
This is Al.
Good old Al.
This is Adam. The New Hampshire algorithms. He says multi-sizing should be outlawed and is a great way for your ads not to be seen. Now, from someone not in the industry, I would think multi-sizing would be good. More sizes, right? What am I missing?
Or does he mean changing sizes?
Well, it's a one ad slot being lots of sizes, right? Serving a 300 by 50 into 300 by 250 slot. I would say this. I would say that because publishers are desperate for money, there are two ways,
right?
and
I think that's the root of the problem.
It is, and I always say there are two ways for publishers to make more money, right? They can have their ads drive more value for advertisers, which because of a number of systemic things is quite difficult. Haha, pish posh. Or they can play games, and playing games is a lot easier than being like, well, how do I make my ads work better for advertisers? So this is and there is an undiscussed side effect of playing games and of what you just said, which is a wise advertiser, if they serve into one of these gamed situations, over time will stop buying from that publisher. And we are really bad on the sell side. In fact, I have never seen anyone do it at properly quantifying the long-term impact of a lot of these decisions. We know, oh, this makes us more money in the short term, but like, maybe that would be interesting. Like this, okay, this is a report for some ad exchange to build. Free product work. Advertiser attrition rate. How often do advertisers buy from me once and then stop buying from me as a publisher?
It's very hard for us to track. It's very hard for us to make these decisions ourselves, right? They're outsourced because there's so much data to go through about finding bad publishers. I wish Trade Desk did more of it, right? Trade Desk is always penalizing publishers and exchanges for shenanigans, but they don't talk about it. And I have asked Jeff Green, and I'll ask him here publicly, like, you should fight this out with them in public. You should say, stop, this is who's doing this, and you should stop, because protecting them, I think, is not working out. It's like, I think Trade Desk is trying to protect the marketplace, protect the open web a little bit, and handling it in the family. But I think the risk of that is like that our market becomes sort of a cartel. Like there's a group of people who are in, and it literally was a cartel in the age of cookie syncing, right? If you had a cookie syncing relationship, you were in, and you could do programmatic. And if you didn't, so that's over with stuff like prebid.org. Anybody can get access to supply or demand now, which is great. And I think that means we should all feel free to call out bad actors and sort of kick them out of the club, either temporarily or permanently, depending on how bad what they did is, but at least talk about it.
Well, I have a product release coming up for this.
Oh, yeah?
We're building a publisher first shenanigans examination tool. Because a lot of publishers are engaging. A lot of publishers are engaging in shenanigans unknowingly. It happens to them. And a lot of shenanigans are accidental. And you cannot, this is data that can't be crawled, right? This is data that happens deep inside the monetization stack of a publisher as ads are running on the page. And so, you'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. But we're building a publisher shenanigans tool that publishers load on the page.
What are you going to call it?
I haven't named it yet. Maybe I might just call it shenanigans tool.
It reminds me of a joke my daughter told me this morning. Why is a koala not really a bear?
Why, Adam?
It doesn't have the qualifications.
Oh, no.
Hey, she's only 8.
That's pretty good for 8.
That's good.
There's logical continuity.
I'm sure there are fans of that. All right, you didn't ask me about it. I'm going to talk about it anyway. DoubleVerify got sued, a class action suit, but from the name on it is some union pipe fitters or something who put their pension fund in DoubleVerify. But it's a class action suit of investors over DoubleVerify. It accuses them of fraud, which, imagine the irony of a fraud protection company being accused of fraud. The fraud is coming from inside the house.
The house.
But I feel bad. I actually feel bad for DoubleVerify, having read this complaint, who, if you don't know me, first time tuning in, I love to read complaints. Law is my hobby. But I don't really know. I realized reading this, I don't really know where the fraud line is. Like the Theranos woman, she certainly crossed the line into fraud. And the FBX guy, yeah, you can see that's fraud. But what DoubleVerify is accused of doing is what I would consider like putting a sunny face on their results in every earnings call, which as a CEO is certainly my instinct if I'm reporting to my investors. Point out the good things, say that the bad things are going to get better, we have a solution on the way. And that's what this guy did. These investors are saying, he wasn't honest enough about how much they're falling behind in technology, how much traffic the open web is losing, which means they lose because their solutions on, Meta and YouTube don't earn them as much margin. And it gets into a bunch of other things. The analytics report comes up in there. So they're just kind of throwing darts as saying, there's all these things that have caused DoubleVerify stock to go down, and they didn't disclose enough about them. So I don't know, maybe a lawyer can write in and say, give their opinion of whether or not it crosses the line. Some people online were saying we'll find out in discovery if DoubleVerify knew things about how bad their situation was and didn't disclose them. But anyway, it's not my favorite company, but I love that they acquired Sybids, great French custom algorithm company, and I think I've heard that has gone well as a combined force. So I wish them well as far as they're trying to innovate, and to the extent that they fell behind, like I think it's reasonable, as far as I know, for the CEO to say we're catching up. We're doing our best to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, I hear about these things. Someone sued the trade desk when their stock went down too. Like that
Oh
happened.
yeah, it happens.
Um,
Yeah,
how much of this is just settlement fishing? Like, is that a thing where
yeah,
people are just like,
and
"Hey,
trolling. Yeah,
pay me some money to go away"? Like,
yeah, like patent trolling is another one. It's really bad. Yeah, it could really harm a company. The legal costs get really high, and maybe this is frivolous, but if it gets to discovery, which is when they'll have to reveal some internal documentation on this stuff, we'll learn more. But yeah, the one that I thought was BS was that the open web they should have talked about how the open web is losing traffic, and that's going to cause them to lose money. Like this is the period like 23, 24, 25. I don't think they're going to be able to back that up.
yeah, fair
All
inquiry.
right,
All right, ready for the next
Mr.
question?
Maldo.
Okay.
Let's go.
This is we don't have the gurus, our predictor, our profit setup, but we're being asked for.
It's another question about the future. All right, I'll do my
Yeah,
best.
we'll have to set up for the next stream. This is from Mark.
Zaborski.
Is that an inside ad tech joke or?
It is. It's a pun on the name of the CEO of DoubleVerify. Maybe it's him.
Perfect.
It might be him.
Maybe it's him.
Well, Mark is asking prediction time. When will brands begin holding platforms and agencies accountable for margin transparency and working media upgrades?
I guess I have to take this one. When? When? 2029. 8. No, like this is very painful for everyone in the industry. I've seen people over and over come into the industry with expectations of how brands should react to money being taken out of their pockets, undisclosed margins, double dipping. I'm always good on the warpath of double dipping. Adelaide is a double dipper. I will call out any company that I think is double dipping. It's just there's just no excuse. Like you charge your fee, don't charge a second fee. It's just wrong. So the why the brands don't really crack down on this is hard to understand. Like I said, I've seen people come in the industry with expectations and have to temper those expectations. And me being the grizzled veteran that I am, I've say maybe never. Maybe they never do. But I'll add the big caveat is like you do see a lot more scrutiny in times of recession, in times of economic pressure, and in times of generational change. And we kind of have both now with the boomers retiring, more millennials and Gen X coming into the boardroom at the same time as possible recession or belt tightening going on in marketing departments. Guys like Lou Pascalis, former head of the ANA, makes a lot of noise about this sort of thing and helping get the ANA involved in this sort of scrutiny. there's always a chance. But my own experience is that when you get right down to it, the brands don't care that much about these little percents, about these percents being taken from them and these extra charges coming out. And it's an exception, right? If when brands buy laptops and copy machines and fabric to make clothes and cacao to make chocolate, they scrutinize the crap out of the purchase, right? Like they have entire teams who are scrutinizing the purchase. It's procurement, and procurement is in media conversations, but the procurement people don't know enough about the media supply chain and how media is built and what ad technology does and what value it provides and how much it should cost, that there's no real procurement scrutiny of what's going on in their bundled cost. So I think there's a certain amount of fear on the brand side. Like we don't really know what's happening. We'll do our best, but we have to trust our agency or trust Google or trust our partners. And fear of finding out, like if we look into this too much, how many people are really going to get fired? And yeah, there's no one to trust. More and more brands have this expertise in house. When
I was gonna
the
say,
expertise is in house, it's different.
I feel like the brands that are good at this, they care. But a follow-on question for you: how much of this is really siloed to holdcos? Like, I feel like agency holdcos are the kings and queens of, we'll take a little bit here, a little
No,
bit here,
I actually
a
think they're
little bit
among the
here.
best. They're the most scrutinized. They have to go through. Have you ever seen like an RFP and a pitch process for a yeah, it's brutal. Like the big companies do have procurement teams. And they often have like, professional accountants and CPAs. They're trying to do the real scrutiny into costs, but they don't have the expertise and they screw it up. And I've seen like PwC and McKinsey brought in, and I've tried to teach them like how to scrutinize the cost, how to audit me, how to audit the agency, and how to audit our partners. And it's just a big knowledge gap.
Mm.
And there's people. Maybe we should have an event for procurement and teach them all about media and ad tech cost and pricing and value, and see how many procurement people we can. If people will take us up on that, we'll teach you everything for a low price, and you could get the best pricing. You could save a shitload of money. You could save easily. I would say 60 cents on the dollar. We could save the average big advertiser.
That sounds like a rager, a procurement people party.
A procurement rager. My co-founder Ali once went to a procurement conference. I was like, wow, that's gonna be. I think it might have even been in Vegas. But people are well-meaning, but it's a rough market.
Hmm.
This is a very tough market for the job of procurement, and I guess yeah, if the brands cared enough, they could get the information, but they'd be getting it from people like me and Gareth, among the few who are willing to talk about it. No, there's plenty of others. There's plenty of others who are willing to talk about it, and uh, yeah, what I come down to. It's perceived as more risky to dig in and try than to not try.
Hmm.
Like if
That's
you
interesting.
try and fail, that's going to be really good. If you try and it looks like you succeed and then something goes wrong, you're in a lot of trouble. And it's just way too much rocking the boat for any one person in a large corporation, right? And it needs a certain amount of momentum with a lot of people on the warpath over their fees.
Hmm. It's interesting. We got time for one more.
Yeah, this is a comment from our friend Al. This is, I think, just kind of agreeing with what you guys were saying before. Al says, when brands hire channel experts to run in-house teams, then they will know what questions to ask, what to care about, and what they need to scrutinize.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but I see even one isn't enough. I think one in procurement, they need one in IT,
Yeah,
and
that's a
one
real
in
investment. Like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's always so interesting. So like my wife worked at a DSP that got bought by an agency, and she would always tell me in all the pitches to brands, the brands were always smart. It's not like they were incompetent. They were smart
Yeah.
people. And they like asked difficult questions. I feel like they
Yeah.
just need to be empowered.
We're media people. We're 100% in media. The average brand team, they're 80% in whatever the hell they do. then the other 10% isn't technology if it's not already technology. And then like, there's not going to be a lot of marketing expertise. It's really like this other thing. So, what would help would be the professional organizations getting better. It does a decent job and they try harder than everyone, but they are so freaking old. The ANA, if the ANA had new blood, if they made like Vinnie Rinaldi from Hershey their head, right? Someone who's worked buy side, sell side, brand, knows how the pricing goes in and out. Like they could probably get all their members reasonably smart in procurement about pricing.
You're welcome, Vinny.
It might happen. It might happen. Better, yeah. I can't. Louis Pascalis has taught me I cannot slag on the ANA's efforts because they're trying.
They're trying. I see their
They're
reports.
trying.
They really are trying. Like, I'm always impressed by their
There's so
reports.
much fear. There's so much fear. Like I'm, like we're calling out everyone in the show, but I can't call out the holding companies. I work with the holding companies. I can't talk about their accounting practices. But that said, I was honest when I said that they are not the worst. That they're more scrutinized and can get away with less, and probably have lower margins than independent agencies that face less professional procurement scrutiny. But there's one person who came in here who didn't give a shit about what anyone thought into ad tech. His name is Christoph Franisek, and there's a lot of boat rocking. A lot of people didn't like him. He's been sued twice. Like it's like we have a kind of a delicate balance here, but even us rebels are somewhat limited in how much we can call out. It's too bad.
We'll just build magic money machines and then everything takes care of itself.
Magic money machines. Yeah, I mean, my thing is just I'll just work to get the least money in the middle possible. Let's get as much advertiser dollar going to the publisher as possible. That's what I see as my job. Make more efficient ad tech, charge less and less, replace more and more of the jobs that are bloated and bullshitty and taking on disclosed margins and double dipping, and let's just make it very efficient, try to win on efficiency and volume, and if the market functions, that will play out.
I think it will. I agree. I'll fix the sell side. You just have to teach advertisers to buy things that matter. That's all you got to do.
They look at their results, right? So if you save the money and it comes through in the results, then they'll buy more in theory. All right,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
gonna
hour
work.
mark.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, David Maldo. Thank you, Sasha, filling in from earlier this week on the design. Love it.
All right, thanks.
Have a wonderful
everyone,
weekend,
for
Take
everyone.
us out.
Yo, the crowd is back, the lights are dim, front rows buzzing, it's